right, so we're just going to take a quick look at your child labor pamphlet or brochure. So when you go to Google Classroom, it's going to be at the top of your feed. And if not, you can go and click on classwork and it's going to be under Industrial Revolution. So when you click on it, you'll want to view assignment. So when you go to view assignment, you'll notice that you've got a bunch of different attachments. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating a pamphlet. That's going to be a trifold pamphlet. So one you would see like in a doctor's office that's sitting on the counter. And what your job is you are trying to convince people during the Industrial Revolution that child labor shouldn't be a thing. And so really it's a persuasive project. You're trying to persuade people to end child labor. So before I go over the specific elements of what's required for this pamphlet / brochure, we're going to look at some of the resources that you have. So this right here, your child labor pamphlet PDF, that's going to be where the rubric is. That's also going to give you the instructions for the website that we're going to use to create this. So don't worry about that right now. What I want to do is I want to look at our resources first. So our first resource is primary sources. So this is going to be a series of short quotes and clips and pictures from this time period describing child labor. Okay, so for example, this first picture that you're seeing, it says some children called scavengers had jobs such as cleaning the machines. While they were still working, this was a very dangerous task. So while the machines were still moving, it was a child's job to clean the machines. And this, as we know, would probably be very dangerous considering what we've seen with the documentary, how large these machines are, how heavy they are, and how often these types of injuries happen. So because you're trying to convince people to end child labor, it's going to be really powerful to use the voices of these children, of the people working in the factories, to try to convince people to end it. So one example from a factory inspector in source 5, it says a young girl was caught by her apron, which wrapped around the machine, and she was whirled around and around, and her right leg was found some distance away. So she was swirled around and around and around by this machine because her apron got caught and her leg got cut off. And so you've got a series of different pieces of information here: when they wake up, how long they're working. You've got an interview with a 6-year-old here. And then you've got this little one from the philosophy of manufacturers, written from the perspective of factory owner. Ill treatment is very rare. I've visited many factories. I've never once seen a child beaten. Okay, so that's going to be a different perspective there. Got factory wages here, so what men earn, what women earn, what children earn. And you're going to see, we're going to talk about this, they don't go by dollars. They're going to go by British currency. You've got a schedule here, the breakdown of how many people might be working in a factory in 1833 by age and by gender. And so this is all primary source material. You're going to want to use this material. One of the major parts of this assignment is using all of the resources provided. Okay, so this is one of the types of resources you're going to look at. You also have a set of notes. Really, this is a movie guide from the Children Who Built Victorian England. So it's a series of questions and answers. Feel free to use this information as well. Okay. Then the third source, and this is probably what I would argue the most useful, it's got the most meat in it, is you have kind of a summary of child labor during the Industrial Revolution. And then you also have excerpts from the Sadler Report that came out in 1832. And so this person is interviewing someone who started when they were 8 years old working in a factory. Chastisement is going to be punishment. So if you're looking for punishment, there's some really good resources here. Okay, so those are the resources provided. If you need to, you can use your textbook. You can do additional internet research if you want to. But when we talk about the rubric here in just a second, you'll see that it has to be really specific. So it's going to be a little bit challenging to try to make sure you find the right resources. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to create a brochure. So this is kind of what a brochure looks like. This is just an example one that I threw together. I'm going to teach you how to use this website. It gives us really cool templates that we can use, but you're trying to convince people to end the slavery and basically child slavery. So let's look at some of our instructions. Let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see a little better. Okay, so you're going to create a double-sided trifold pamphlet or a brochure, okay, on the serious issue of child labor during the Industrial Revolution in Victorian England. Remember, we've mentioned this before, that we call the Industrial Revolution the Victorian era as well, because it's happening at the same time as the reign of Queen Victoria, which is one of the most important monarchs in British history. Great Britain has a history of having really awesome female monarchs who rule for a long time. She's one of them. So you can use the resources that I showed you to help walk you through it. You're an activist, so your goal is trying to reform, change the laws, convince people that's important, put pressure on the government to end child labor. Use the resources I gave you, as well as your textbook, to address all of the areas in the rubric. The rubric is very specific. If you do everything in the rubric, you will get a good grade. Okay, that's something I can guarantee. It's very, very specific. If you don't, however, you're probably not going to be happy with your grade. So you can choose any industry for your child to work in that you are familiar with. So it could be the textile industry, mining, chimney sweep, farming, which we know is the majority of child laborers. Just know that we have a lot more information about the textile industry, and most of the resources that I provided you are going to be about the textile industry. So if you decide to go one of the other ways, you're much more interested in chimney sweep or mining or farming, that's fine. You're just going to need to do a little bit of research outside of the resources I provided. If you're venturing out into the internet, this is really important. Make sure that your information is specific to the British Industrial Revolution and took place in Great Britain from 1760 to 1840. I want to show you just really quickly what happens when I just look up child labor. Okay, so if I go to the images, I'm looking for a picture, you can see that some of these look like they might be in the Industrial Revolution, but we don't know exactly where they are. This looks like maybe it was in the American South, but you also have pictures from the streets of India in modern day. That's not going to work. You need to make sure that you look up child labor, British Industrial Revolution, so that you're getting the right kinds of pictures, okay? The dates, you're usually pretty safe if you're being specific enough, but now these look all appropriate to the time period. Okay, so make sure that you're careful about that. All right, so we're going to go over specifics. This is the breakdown of our pamphlet. The pamphlet is basically a piece of paper, and on one side of the paper is the outside, and the other side is the inside. So your cover, so just putting a title on it, whether it's children working in the textile factory, children working in coal mining, child chimney sweeps, children working on the farm during the Industrial Revolution, it doesn't matter. You get 2 points for putting it on there. If you want to get creative with your title, that's fine. Just make sure it is very, very clear what you are talking about in your title. Don't leave me guessing. Happy grader, happy grade. The easier you make it for me to grade, the better grade you're going to get, just because I don't have to work so hard to find it. Okay, so title, and then you're going to have a picture on that cover. Okay, so you're going to have title and a picture. So if I go back to my example here, I've got a picture of a factory and I've got the title. Okay, so you get 5 points just for doing that. Okay, then the inside left. So that's the outside right, that's the cover. Now we're going to go to the inside. Okay, the inside left, so this column, it's going to be at least 3 sentences that explain the type of work the children are doing. So what are children doing in the factories? What type of work are they doing? We're not looking at the dangers. We're not looking at the work hours at this point. We're looking specifically at the jobs they're doing, the machines that they're working, and if they have a specific title. Okay, you're going to give me 3 sentences there, minimum. Okay, so make sure that you are specific and that you follow the instructions. Okay, so that's what's going to go on the inside left. So you're telling me what they're doing in the factories. And then in the inside middle, so we have talked about this one, now we're going to talk about this one. The inside middle is at least 3 sentences explaining the particulars of a workday work week. I can almost guarantee you this is going to be more than 3 sentences. Okay, so things that you're going to look at. So, how many days per week are they working? Are they working 5 days a week, 3 days a week, 7 days a week? When do they start and end? So, when does they begin? When does it end? And how many hours are they working in total? So, excluding breaks, you don't need to do any math like, okay, they work for 15 hours, they got a 15-minute break. Don't worry about the breaks at that point. Okay. So you also want to look at the number of and length of breaks. So did they have more than one break in a 16-hour day? Were they able to get more than 15 minutes break? Did they eat? Was food provided? If so, what kind of food were they getting? And how much were they getting paid? Were they getting paid at all? So per week, per day, per hour, is there overtime for them? And you're going to calculate this using British currency. Okay. I don't know the exact conversions of pounds, shillings, and pence. I will work on that for you. But this is basically going to be their pay. Okay. So tell me what their pay is in British currency, not in American dollars. Okay. So we've done the inside left, the inside middle. Now we're going to do the inside right. Okay, so this is going to be at least 3 sentences that explain the dangers of the work. So first we said what the work was on the inside left. In the middle, we said kind of what their work day, work week looked like. And now on the inside right, you're going to explain the dangers of the job. So specific hazards of the job, what types of issues do they face? So this would be the time you would talk about the girl getting caught in the machine or whatever. Were children punished? Why were they punished? How were they punished? In what ways were they threatened? In what ways was child labor bad for them? Okay, that's what you're going to look at on the inside right column. Okay, that's a total of 6 points. Okay, so that's your whole inside. Okay, now you're going to move back out to the outside. You've already done your cover, and so we're going to do our outside left and our outside middle. Okay, so our outside left, this is your big meaty piece, okay? This one section is 6 points by itself. So at least 5 sentences that explain specific reforms or changes that you want to make. So what do you want to change? Remember, you're trying to convince people that child labor is bad. So what age is appropriate? How long should they be working? Should they be working at all? What about breaks, pay? Are there things we should be doing to try to keep them safe? You know, maybe put a guardrail up or something like that. Should children have to go to school for part of the day, or should they be allowed to work all day long? And also look at, when the documents I provided you, look at some of the laws that the British Parliament passed to reduce the exploitation of children, for ideas. So look at those laws that they passed and decide what you think you should be pushing for. So that's the outside left. The outside middle is your easiest one. All you're going to do, and you're going to get 2 points for doing it, is put your first name, your last name or your initial, and your class period for 2 points. Okay. The last 9 points are about quality. Okay. So 5 points for at least 2 additional images to the one on the cover. So a total of 3 pictures. Okay. So you have one on the cover and at least 2 more. I think you're going to have a lot more than that, because I think to really fill up the space on your pamphlet, to make it look nice, like it has effort in it, you're probably going to need to put some more pictures. So, and then the effort portion is the next set of points. So you've got another 4 points for showing effort. It's neat, it's legible, you didn't write too small, took time on the illustrations. Now, note on that, okay, we're doing this on the computer, and I'm going to teach you how. We're going to use a website called Canva, which is awesome for any type of project that you have to do where you have a presentation, if you need to make a poster, whatever it is. I think you're really going to like it. So I'm excited to show you this. But if you want to do it on paper, that's fine. You're just going to need to submit a picture. Okay, let me know that that's what you're doing, so I know not to look for it in the computer. This is a 50-point assignment. You're going to have 2 class days to do it, today and the next class period. So I just kind of want you to keep that all in mind. So I'm going to show you Canva. You already kind of saw a little clip of it, but first thing you need to do is go to canva.com. Go to canva.com and click sign up. So go ahead and pause the video, open canva.com, click sign up. Once you've got sign up clicked, come back to the video so I can tell you what to do. All right, so now that you have clicked on sign up. This particular set of instructions tells you to use your school email. I want you to use Google. So click sign up with Google. It's going to be attached to your Google Drive. It's going to be attached to Google Classroom. Okay. So click on sign up with Google. And once you've clicked on that, it's going to bring up the option for student. Some students had the experience that they didn't have this step come up for them. If it doesn't, don't stress about it, but select student if it does come up. Okay, so take a second, get to that point, pause the video if you need to. All right, so you may see on step 4 an option to add people to your team. Okay, we may use this in a team format someday, but for now, we're not going to. So go ahead and skip this step. And then you should see a screen that pops up like this. Okay, so this is you're going to type in brochure. Okay, so brochure is just like, it's the same thing as a pamphlet, it's just a different word for it. So you're going to type in brochure into the search bar. It's going to take you to a page that looks something like this. You can start off with a blank slate, or you can pick one of these templates. I encourage you to pick a template. Okay, there are so many cool ones to choose from. Just to kind of get everything laid out. That's part of why I think this website is so cool. You have lots and lots of options. I think this one's a cool one, so I'm going to add this for the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so now you've got your 2 pages. This is the outside. This is the inside. Okay, and you can change these pictures as needed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this title here. So you just click to type stuff in. So child labor in the textile industry. Okay, and there's several really cool things about Canva. You can kind of expand it to make it fit, and you can even make it bigger or smaller to make it work the way that you want to. And I'm going to put down here in this little subtitle, in the Industrial Revolution. Okay. All right, so now I need to add a picture to this. You have a few options for how to add a picture. 1, you can go over to the left-hand side and click Photos. And you can search for the photo you want. So we're going to say Industrial Revolution child. Okay, we didn't really get what we wanted. Let's see, child labor. Let's see what comes up. Okay, all right, so we're working in the textile industry. So all you have to do is click and drag. But you'll notice that we're functioning in the free version, and this has got watermarks on it. I don't care so much about the watermarks if you don't care about the watermarks. So feel free to use pictures that have the watermarks on them if you need to. Or if you're just not seeing the picture that you want, okay, like most of these you can see are from different parts of the world. They're not Industrial Revolution pictures. Looks like this one might be a farming one. But you also have another option. So you could go to Google. You could find a picture that you like. So this is a good one. Okay, I'm going to take my mouse. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go back to wherever my design is. All right, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to paste. Okay, so it's telling me that I need to use the shortcut. So we're going to Control V. All right, cool. So now we're just going to shrink it down to size. And so that's how you can get off the internet. You don't need to go through the process of uploading them if you don't need to. Okay. So you're going to do that for each of the different types of pieces that you need. Again, you can delete pictures if you don't like them from your format. You can change the colors. You can change the fonts if you want to. So let me show you how to do that. So you can change it to a Bukhari script, and you're going to do it in size 36. Okay, so you can change the font. You can even change like whether or not they lean to the side. Okay. All right, so use the rubric to complete this part of it. Once you're done, then you'll download it as a PDF. You'll do that up here at the top. You're going to click Download PDF Print. You want all the pages. Oh, that's not going to work. So we're going to delete this one. because we're going to have to pay to download that one. So we're not going to do that. So let's go ahead and download it. And then once you have your PDF, you're going to download that, or you're going to upload that to Google Classroom to turn it in. Okay, so now you have that PDF that you can open and share.